Good morning everybody, it's Miss Moore here today and I am here with your phonics lesson. We're going to start our phonics lesson today by practicing the spelling of some different homophones. Now I want to see if you can remember what a homophone is. Can you think back to a while ago in phonics when we began learning about homophones and see if you can tell your grown-up or the screen what a homophone is? Even if you can't really remember, why don't you have a try? Okay, so a homophone is two words that sound the same, but they're spelt differently and they have different meanings. So if I show you our words for today, they might be a little bit familiar to you from a couple of weeks ago. So we've got 8 different homophones here, and I'm going to read them to you now. So our first one is flour. Now, when it's spelt with an O and a U, this kind of flour is flour that you would use when you're doing some baking. And this flour, that's spelled O-W, is like the flour that you might find in your garden. Sun, spelled with a U, that is like the sun in the sky. And this sun, that's spelled with an O instead of a U, is like if you're a little boy and you have a dad, then you will be their son. Night. Now I can spot our silent K letter in here. Remember, we don't say k-night, we just say night because it's a silent letter, isn't it? So this one is like somebody who would fight in a battle. They might belong to a castle, that kind of night. And this one, without the silent K, is when you go to bed, you might say night. Be. That might be like, you might want to be like you're grown up. And be with a double E is like the bumblebee in the sky. Okay, so we've got flower, flower, sun, sun, night, night, bee and bee. And remember, try to think about their meanings when you're spelling them. And once you've had a go at spelling them, you might want to see if you can choose 2 of the words from above and write them in a silly sentence. And when you've had a go at this, you can move on to the main part of today's lesson in phonics. So we're going to continue learning about suffixes today, just like yesterday. So we need to remember that a suffix is a group of letters that are added onto the end of a root word. So when we're looking at prefixes, that goes at the start, and when we add at suffixes, that goes on the end. So the suffix we are learning about today is ness, N-E-S-S. But what does the suffix ness mean? See if you can tell the screen or you're grown up what you think that might mean. Even if you don't know, see if you can have a try telling your grown up what you think ness means. When we add it onto the end of our root words, what do you think it means? Well, the suffix ness means the state of being. Okay, now that might sound a little bit confusing, but I've got an example to show you in a minute. So when we add the suffix ness onto the end of a root word, we can change an adjective into a noun. Now let's quickly recap over an adjective and a noun. Tell your grown-up, what is an adjective? That's right, an adjective is a describing word. It's a word that we use to describe something. And tell your grown-up, what is a noun? Well done. A noun is a naming word. So it's like a thing, a place, a person, or an object. Okay, so this is saying that when we add our suffix ness onto the end, it changes from an adjective into a noun. So here's an example. If we have the word tired, that's our root word, and we add the suffix ness onto the end, it becomes tiredness. Okay, so if you're tired and you add ness onto the end, then tiredness means that's the state of you being tired. You're very, very tired. Let's have a look at some more examples on this slide together. if we have our root word, which is sad, and we add our suffix ness onto the end, the word becomes sadness. Okay, so there is lots of sadness. Rude, this is our root word. Okay, add ness becomes rudeness. So if somebody is not being very nice and they're being a little bit rude to you, they're being a little bit unkind, they might have lots of rudeness. Thoughtful. Okay, so if somebody is thoughtful, that's where they will be really kind and always be thinking about you. Add our suffix ness onto the end and you get thoughtfulness. Okay. However, there is one rule when we're adding this suffix ness onto the end. When an adjective ends in a Y, we usually change a letter Y to an I and then add our suffix ness. So here's another example. Happy. This is our adjective. And when we add ness, we have to change that Y to an I and then add our suffix on the end. Okay, so it's important that if the adjective ends in a Y, remember to change it to an I and then add your suffix onto the end. Your suffix today is ness. So now it's your turn to see if you can have a go at adding the suffix ness onto the end. So remember, it means a state of being, so it's a result of something. So for the first set of words, you're going to practice adding the suffix ness onto the end. So here's your set of words. I'm going to read them to you. Quiet, bold, bright, mad, fit, ill, late, and polite. Okay, so all of these words here, you don't need to do anything to them. You're just going to add the suffix ness onto the end. Okay, and then for these words under here, you have to change the letter Y to an I and then add the suffix ness. So we've got lonely, ugly, greedy, silly, and gloomy. Okay, so all of these 5 words, you have to change the Y in them to an I and then add your suffix. Now, once you've done those words, you might want to write some of them in different sentences, or you might want to move straight onto the challenge. Okay, so you have got to choose the correct noun ending in ness to complete these sentences. So this is what it looks like. We've got some different sentences here, and underneath each sentence, you've got some different nouns, and you need to choose the right one that goes in this blank space. I'm going to read the sentences to you. Mum always enjoyed the, is it going to be quietness or thoughtfulness, when the children had gone to school? And whichever one you think it is, you write it in this space here. The, is it going to be carelessness or loudness of the aeroplane engine was deafening? Whichever one you think it is, you write it in here. The, is it going to be softness of the blanket was amazing, or is it going to be the loneliness of the blanket was amazing? Whichever one is this word or that one, you write it in there. Trolls are known for their, is it going to be gentleness or ugliness? And in space, astronauts experience, is it going to be weightlessness or carelessness? Whichever word you think it is, you pop it in there. Now this is a tricky challenge, so if you really think you can have a go, then have a go and try your best. And remember to send any completed work to your class teachers for them to see how you're getting on. Have lots of fun and enjoy.